fancy one of the most legendary track toys of all time, but one that you can use on the road as well? I've got you covered. Hello and welcome to the 1986 Caterham Super 7. That's right, today I have the keys to this lovely vintage Super 7, one of the most iconic shapes in motorsport, one might argue. We're going to have a look inside now, under the bonnet, and then get it out on the road, and I'm going to talk to you a little bit about what I think of this absolutely legendary British performance piece. So let's crack on. Caterham enthusiasts the world over have one man to thank. It's a name synonymous with quality sports cars. Colin Chapman, of course. Founder of Lotus, he's been responsible for some very, very important machines over the years, and the Caterham, in one way or another, is one of them. You see, the Caterham started out life as a Lotus 7. Colin Chapman's race car for the road. It utilised a space frame chassis and stressed aluminium panels for lightness to create a fun, lightweight, revving sports car that was more than at home on the track, but was in fact legal. You could take it to Brands Hatch and drive it home without getting a million tickets from the traffic constabulary. Towards the 1970s, Colin Chapman wanted to change Lotus's image. He wanted them to go up market, and a lightweight, high-revving track toy wasn't that thing, and so he sold the rights of it off to two companies, a firm in New Zealand and a small British firm, Caterham. Caterham would go on to run with this model from the early 1970s right the way up to present day. Caterham is still very much thriving and an authority on track toys, and it all comes down to that legendary Lotus 7. The design has remained largely unchanged throughout the decades. It's very hard to tell what Caterham comes from what era, because they are pretty much identical, to an extent of course aesthetically, though underneath engineering has thoroughly developed, and a modern day Caterham shares absolutely nothing with one of these early 7s. Caterham's choice to buy into a Lotus legend would prove to be a very good one indeed, as today they really are the authority on fun road legal track cars. Ask anyone what's the best sort of thing in that category and they'll point you towards one of these, and for good reason. These early cars really did help amplify that reputation. They were fun, they were simple, parts were easy to get a hold of, and above all else, just like any good Lotus or track car, they were incredibly light, as I shall now demonstrate. The 7 was only about 520 kilograms, which meant you could do things like this and push it away and down the hill with ease. There's not a lot of track cars you can do that with, especially ones that then you can take down to the shops, and that is why a Caterham is such a good little thing. There's really not a lot to talk about in here. It's very simple, but that's the name of the game with the Caterham. This is a slightly more refined Caterham in that it has a heater and a few other things, but these are bare bones simple cars. 2 seats, a steering wheel and some pedals is all you really need, and a gear shifter of course. You've got a nice selection of gauges and switches, and everything's very well laid out and in easy reach of the driver, simply because the cabin is so small. Getting in and out of these isn't the easiest, I'll be honest, but once you're in, and you're nice and secure. You feel very tight. But that being said, I'm not the biggest guy in the world, and as I say, I'm quite tight in there. I think if I was a little bit taller or wider, I might struggle to get in comfortably and get the thing moving at a really respectable pace with ease. I think this lightness is quite well emphasised in things like this bonnet. Obviously the body is stressed aluminium, and that means once you unlatch something like the bonnet, you can literally just lift it up over your head and then take it to the shops, I guess, whatever you choose. It's so lightweight, it feels so insubstantial. It's really quite remarkable. You had a few different options when it came to engines on the Caterham, but the size and simplicity of the engine bay meant swaps were more than common. From factory, you could get a Lotus twin cam or a Ford Kent Crossflow in the early days, the latter of which producing about 84 brake horsepower and getting you to 60 in just shy of 8 seconds. Quite impressive for the era. Suspension, well, you could either get a live rear axle or the Dion suspension as production moved on, all of which helped move this Caterham around a track in breakneck pace. You really could surprise a few people in the twisties with something like this. As production went on, bigger engines became more commonplace. 2-litre units from Vauxhall and even Suzuki were offered from Caterham directly. Swaps are more than common, as I say. A lot of people put Hayabusa or some sort of motorbike-derived engine in these, as they really do go well with the lightness. Another common swap is a Ford Zetec Duratec engine. Really, the world is your oyster with one of these. It is considered a blank canvas. This particular car has one of the Ford 4-pot engines in it, and it works quite well in something like this. Paired with a 4-speed manual box, it's a little bit underpowered, but it does get you along the road quite nicely. Added benefits, parts are cheap and they're pretty reliable. I can see why you would go for an engine like this in a car like this. Well, I've shoehorned myself in just about, nice and comfortable. The sun is shining, so let's get this Lotus 7 out on the road. Well, I'm not sure how well you're going to hear me today, even though I'm microphoned up. It's very, very windy and blustery in here. I am very grateful for my side windows that I've got clipped on. It really is sort of reducing the wind. I dread to think what it would be like without that or this full screen. This is definitely more of a refined variant of this model, and I am grateful for that out and about on the normal roads in the real world. Power delivery, as you'd expect, is very, very strong. This car weighs absolutely nothing. So you put your foot down and it just goes. I've got a 4-speed manual gearbox to play with. The throws are nice and short and the clutch action feels very, very good. My driving position, it's not bad. I do feel like with these side windows, my visibility is a little bit lacking, which is quite odd considering how open the car is. Road holding, well, it's exactly what you'd expect from anything that's got a Lotus badge on the front. It sticks to the road like glue. Even this, and now 40, nearly 50-year-old example, is really, really sharp and precise in the bends. One thing I always forget with these Caterhams is they don't have self-cancelling indicators. They've simply got a toggle on-off switch. It can catch you out when you're out and about driving in the real world rather than on track, because you can very easily forget to turn it off and annoy quite a lot of people. It is very, very good fun, this thing though. Criticisms, I've got a couple. The pedal box feels incredibly tight. My right foot is absolutely wedged up against the firewall in there. It's very, very uncomfortable. Aside from that, I would say at higher speeds, once you get up and going, the front feels very, very light. And I think that's a lot down to these sort of all-encompassing front wings. They really do just collect the air and lift the front of the car once you get going. It starts to feel a little bit sketchy, I won't lie, so I'm not really going to push this car too much. Even at slower speeds on a road like this, there is very few things that I can imagine are more fun to drive. This is where the Caterham excels off the track, on a little country road. So, the Caterham Super 7, what do I think? Well, I think it's a very good car. There's no getting around that. Caterham have been making these in one form or another for decades, and you can still go into a Caterham dealership and buy one brand new, and I think that speaks volumes. If I was going to get a Caterham, I'd do one of a couple of things. I'd either get a slightly newer model than this, or I'd put a bigger engine in the front. That 1.6 litre unit is good fun, and it does fit this lightweight body well, but I can't help but thinking, it could be giving me more. A 2-litre Z-Tech unit, or perhaps even a modern motorbike engine. Who knows? That's just the direction I go with one of these. But there's no getting around the fact that these are fun, easy to maintain, cheap to run, enjoyable cars that you could more than comfortably take out on the track and drive home. Just don't expect to keep dry. That's all I'd say. Thank you very much for watching the video review of this lovely Caterham Super 7. I do hope you've enjoyed. If you like this sort of thing, please check out our other video reviews. And if you have a classic car to sell, please get in touch with us at classiccarbuyer.co.uk. Right, I'm off before it starts raining.